Hey guys, so in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing and testing out the Kiss Salon Dip Professional Dipping System, and this is a little kit that I found at Walgreens, and I decided I would pick it up and test it out for you guys and see if it is good quality and if it makes a nice set of dip nails. So let's get right into the video. So once I opened the little plastic package, I'm going to start taking out all of the materials, and the first thing that comes in the kit is a set of tips, and there are natural tips as well as white tips, and I'm going to be using the natural for this video. Next is a little makeup sponge to remove excess powder. Then here is the base gel, and this is what we are going to use to apply the dip powder. There is a bottle of activator. Here is the powder, and it is a nice light pink color, and it comes in this decent sized container. There is also a little plastic catcher to dip your finger into, as well as some extra brushes for the base coat in case they harden up and you need to replace it. There is also a file and buffing little square, as well as some instructions. And then lastly, there is a mini orange wood stick that you can use to push back your cuticles. So here is a closer look at the powder that comes in the kit. So the powder comes in this little jar, and then once you open it, the powder is sealed so that none of it will spill out into the package, which I think is really nice because sometimes when they aren't sealed, the powder can get everywhere and it's really messy. So I'm happy to see that it is sealed. But these little plastic paper things are so hard to get off, and they are annoying, but I definitely would rather have my powder sealed. And as you can see, the powder is this nice light pink color. I'm assuming it's going to be a little bit transparent, which I don't really mind, but if you did use the white tips in this kit, it would be perfect for a French, but in this case, I'm going to be using the natural ones because I don't typically use white tips. And anyway, here is the instructions that come in the kit, and they are really long and probably not necessary, but it is always good to just take a closer look and read through just to make sure you are using the products correctly. And here is just a little step-by-step picture of what you are supposed to do. So moving on, I later went to Walmart and found that they sold separate colored dip powder, and I decided to pick one of them up to test out. So this one is called Songbird, and it is a periwinkle dip powder with some slight shimmer. It's super pretty, and I don't have any powder this color, so I thought I would go ahead and try it out along with this kit. And these also come with super long instructions, which probably aren't necessary, but I will read through them just to make sure I am using the product correctly. And then here, this powder is also sealed, and this seal was a little bit hard to get off, but if you just take a little pair of cuticle nippers, you can poke a hole and then easily remove the rest. So as you can see, this color is absolutely gorgeous, and I'm planning on using it over the pink powder that came in the kit. So here's just a closer look. And now moving on to the nails, I have already pushed back my cuticles and filed the surface, and now I'm going ahead and picking out my natural tips, and I'm just sizing them up to my fingers to make sure that they fit evenly across my nail and they fit both sides so that they aren't too small, but they also aren't too big. So here you can just see me sizing them to make sure that they fit properly. And then here are all of these sizes that I have chosen. So there's my pinky, ring finger, middle finger, pointer finger, and then thumb. And in the kit, it says to use the brush-on gel to adhere the tips to the nail. So I'm putting a small amount in the well of the tip and then slowly pressing it on my nail, making sure to get rid of any air bubbles. And then I'm holding for about 10 seconds until the glue is dry, and then I can let go and the tip is fully adhered. So I glued all of the tips onto my nails, and obviously these are way too long, so I'm going ahead and I'm going to cut the nails right about there. So I'm taking a pair of nail clippers and I'm just cutting the tips a little bit longer than I plan to keep them, just to make sure that I don't cut them too short, because you can always file them down, you can't add any back on. So I'm just clipping all of the tips to my desired length. And then once all of the tips are cut, I'm going in with my nail file to file the free edge down and also to bring the sides in a little bit. And I'm going for a rounded square look, so that's how I am filing my nails. And I'm also taking the file and running it along the top of the tip just to blend it into my nail a little bit more, and also to make sure the dip powder sticks. And now I'm just brushing away any of the dust still on the nail. And here are all of my nails with the tips. And now I'm taking the powder that came in the kit and pouring it into the little plastic sort of dip container. And this is going to make it easier to dip our finger into. So now I'm taking the brush on gel and applying a thin, even layer to my entire nail, all the way from the cuticle to the free edge, making sure to not get any on my skin. And then once I'm happy, I'm dipping it into the pink powder, and this little jar makes it super easy to get a nice even dip. And I really like it better than just dipping into the jar because it makes it easier to cover the entire nail. And I'm just repeating that same process on all of my nails and then dipping into the powder. So here I'm taking the little makeup sponge that came in the kit and I'm brushing away all of the extra powder, but not all of it came off with this little sponge, so I ended up going back in with my brush to just get all of the powder out of my cuticles. And then once the first coat is completely dry, I'm going in with a second coat of powder, again from the cuticle to the free edge, applying a nice even thin layer and making sure to not get it on my skin, because if you get it on your skin, the powder will stick there and then it will be a mess. So you want to make sure to just stay on the nail. And then again, once I'm happy, I'm dipping into the powder and wiping off my brush just to make sure that the powder doesn't get back into the bottle, because that will cause the brush to harden up. So I'm just repeating that on all of my nails again, making sure to have a nice even thin layer, and then wiping off the brush and dipping into the powder and tapping off the extra on my finger. So once I've dipped all of the nails in the pink, I'm pouring it back into the original jar, and I'm also going to dust off any of the powder still on my nails. And now I'm going to be going in with my colored powder. So again, this is Songbird, a periwinkle with some shimmer. And before I pour it into my plastic container, I'm taking some rubbing alcohol and a cotton ball and just wiping out the inside to make sure that I don't have any pink powder left in the container. And then I'm going ahead and pouring the colored powder into the jar. And the reason that I did 2 layers of the pink before I do the color is so that I build up some structure and I don't have to waste all of my color, making the nail nice and strong. So I'm taking my base gel once again and applying a thin even layer over the entire nail. And then once I'm happy with the application, I'm going ahead and dipping my finger into the blue powder. And as you can see, this powder has a bit of a different consistency compared to the pink. It's almost like a bit thicker, like it doesn't glide onto the nail as easily when you dip it. I'm not sure if that makes any sense, but I think it has to do with some type of the pigment in the color. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that. But anyway, I'm just repeating the same process on all of my nails for the first coat of the color. So just applying the base evenly and then dipping my finger into the powder, as well as tapping off the excess. Then I'm taking the little sponge and wiping off any of the extra periwinkle powder back into my little catcher. And then I'm also going to take my makeup brush and wipe off the extra powder still on my nails. And then, since this blue powder is still a little bit sheer after one coat, I decided to go in with a second just to make it fully opaque and have the color nice and bright. So I'm just applying a second coat of the base onto the nail and then dipping it into the powder and tapping off any extra. And I repeated this on all of my nails. Once I've dipped all my nails for the second time, I'm taking my brush once again and wiping off the extra powder. And now I'm going to transfer the powder in my plastic container back into the original jar. And now I'm going in with the activator. So this is basically going to harden all of the layers of glue and powder. And this is really important because if the products aren't dry, then we can't file. So this is just going to make the powder nice and hard. And then I'm taking my file and first starting with the free edge and making it nice and smooth, and then also going in on the sides and doing the exact same thing. And then once I'm happy with my shape, I'm going over the top of my nail with a buffer, and this is just going to smooth out any of the grains of powder and make it nice and even for the top coat. So now I'm taking a dry lint-free wipe and going over all of the nails to remove any excess dust. And now I'm going in with one more coat of activator, and this is really just going to make sure that the powder is nice and hard and ready for top coat. So after applying that coat of activator, I'm taking another lint-free wipe and removing any of the excess to make sure the nails are nice and dry. Then I'm going in with my first coat of the base gel, and this is going to act as a nice glossy top coat. So I'm just applying a thin, quick, even layer, and this one doesn't have to be perfect. I know the instructions only say to apply one coat of the base gel, but I find that with one coat the nails aren't as shiny as I would like them to be, so I just go in with a second coat once this dries, and that will make sure that the nails are nice and glossy. So there's what the first coat looks like. Again, they are shiny, but they aren't the shiniest nails I've ever worn. So I'm going in with a second coat, and this will really add a nice and glossy finish. So here are my completed dip nails using the Kiss Dip system. I think that they turned out really well considering the price point of this kit is only $12, and the products were actually pretty high in quality. I definitely think that I could have done them a little bit better and maybe made the nails a little bit more narrow. But for what I was working with, I think they turned out really nice. And if you are looking for a cheap dip system, I think this is the way to go. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a like and subscribe down below, and I will see you in the next one.